It's October 21st, 2024, and we've got some big time weather pattern changes about to happen, so why not make a video? We're going to start off talking about Tropical Storm Oscar over here, which is messing with Cuba right now. Power outages across the entire country of Cuba. It's going to head off to the north and to the east. It's going to cause problems in the Bahamas as well. Over the last week, we had Nadine kind of come and go. The remnants are somewhere over Mexico right now. Oscar was a little bit of a surprise. It went from just an area of potential development to a Category 1 hurricane, made landfall the other day in Cuba at 80 miles per hour, and now it is going to skedaddle out of here. But before it does that, it is going to cause some crazy rainfall in Cuba and the Bahamas. We're talking about flash flooding and ongoing mudslides and more power outages, very likely, as the storm is not necessarily very strong, but it's just packed with moisture like every storm has been this year. The good news about Oscar is it's not going to get any stronger. It's going to actually chill out a little bit as it fades into oblivion by Thursday. This is the projected path. You can see it's a tropical storm right now. It's still going to be a tropical storm way out here towards the middle of the week, but no increase in intensity expected. And of course, I don't even think this is going to be something to worry about by the time it gets close to Bermuda. It's going to be faded into another system and just kind of blended in. This is going to be gone from most of our memories, hopefully, by the time we get towards the end of the week. So let's take a look at the upper air analysis and talk about the future. There's Oscar right there. Notice this little dip. That's what's going to get it out of here. Watch it go down there, pick up Oscar, and then take it out to sea. It's going to obliterate that storm. It's not going to be a worry for any of us after that. But also look at this, a much larger system over here in the central U.S. going to kind of steal the show. In fact, today, this little divot in the jet stream here, this little low pressure system is going to cause some severe weather in the central U.S. Slight chance of severe weather today in Kansas. It's going to be mostly for some large hail and some damaging winds. An isolated tornado or two can't be ruled out, but also we've got some chances for some heavy rain here as well. This is the same system that just the other day caused some significant flash flooding in New Mexico. Okay, so rain's on the way, and actually I hope you get it. And we're about to get super in depth on that. Okay, we're about to provide a lot of value for you in this video. But before we do that, speaking of value, we have to shout out today's sponsor, Rocket Money, where you can take full control of your subscriptions. Do you ever feel like your money's just blowing away in the wind? Well, thankfully, due to today's sponsor, I have some good news for you, and I've got a forecast that's going to clear that up. Rocket Money is here to help you weather any financial storm. It's the personal finance app that's going to help you cancel subscriptions, lower your bills, and manage your money better. I've been using Rocket Money to track my spending habits, and let me tell you, it's been a game changer for my budget. The app has helped me identify and cancel subscriptions I didn't even know that I had. With just a couple of taps, I was able to cut out unnecessary expenses, and because of that, Rocket Money has helped customers like me save up to $740 a year whenever we use all of the app's features. That's over $500 million in canceled subscriptions, y'all. If you want to take control of your finances, head on over to rocketmoney.com/Ryan Hall to get started for free. And then, of course, you can unlock even more premium features at that link in the description there, rocketmoney.com/Ryan Hall. Major, huge shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back into it. Obviously, nobody wants to deal with the flash flooding, but if you don't receive rain in Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, or Oklahoma today, it's probably going to be your last chance to see any rainfall for quite some time. Definitely a week before we see another chance of rain here, because as that system kind of moves off to the north and east, it is going to allow for another cold front to come down, another pulse of cooler air to move into the north central U.S. and eventually into the eastern U.S., but it's not going to carry any sort of precipitation with it. The remnants from this little system is going to be all we've got as we go into the future. You can see that little cold front coming down here as we go into Wednesday. On the front side of that, there's going to be a couple rain showers maybe, but no major precipitation, and certainly no precipitation back here towards the central U.S. as another ridge is forming. A big ridge is going to form as we go towards the end of October. That's going to lead to a lot of dry weather and a lot of very warm weather. Of course, around the same time up here in the Pacific Northwest, it's the opposite problem. We've got a little bit of an atmospheric river situation trying to happen here, where we're going to see consistent showers and heavy snow showers in the higher elevations over here in Oregon and Washington. This might actually lead to some problems with flooding, as we're probably going to get a fire hose situation with a lot of Pacific moisture over the next little bit. But the main story here as we go towards the end of this week is, for the most part, everybody everybody's going to be quiet. All right. You see how all of these jet stream lines are mostly uniform, moving west to east across the country. This is a sign of no major storm systems. This is a zonal flow. Okay. And that means that things are going to get quite quiet. Now, at the same time, the farther we go into the future, there is going to be a little bit of a buckling here, okay? And that's going to allow for a huge ridge to form in the west. Like, this is going to start early this week, but as we go deeper into October, it's just going to keep on getting more and more intense here. And this ridge and this big bubble right here is going to allow for a heat wave, probably one of the warmest Halloweens on record for millions of people here, as a stagnant area of warm air is going to be set up underneath this thing. And it's going to stick around for quite some time. Now, of course, there are going to be a couple instances where some cool air is going to try to make it in from Canada. In fact, as we get closer to Halloween in the beginning of November, over here in the west, we are going to be consistently below average with our temperatures, and we're going to be talking about a lot more precipitation over here. So it's going to kind of set up this battle zone where in the middle, we're going to be going back and forth between very warm and very cool temperatures. But also, this is going to set the stage for what I believe will be a very active November as far as storms go. I think we're going to have a lot of chances for stuff like this to come through and cause severe weather in the form of tornadoes, maybe in the south, and then maybe even some stronger snowstorms on the northwestern side of these low pressure systems as they rip across the center part of the country. But that's a long ways away. Before we get there, we have to talk about the ridge and the oppressive warmth that's going to be with us through the last half of October. We're already feeling it across a lot of the central and eastern United States. It's not going anywhere. Tomorrow, for example, it's going to be near 90 degrees in Kansas City. All right. With those upper 80s are going to be all the way up there into Iowa. It's going to be well into the 90s in Oklahoma. And then we're talking about sunny and 75 in New England. All right. Way up here in upstate New York, it's going to feel like August instead of October. And some of those really warm temperatures go all the way up here into Canada as well. So it's going to feel extremely warm. Now, there is a little pulse of cool air that's going to try to make it in here, especially around the Great Lakes and the Northeast as we go towards the latter part of this week. Don't be fooled by that, because that secondary ridge, the big one that I'm talking about, is just now starting to form over here as we go towards Friday and Saturday. And even with this one, there's going to be a couple of pulses of cool air that come in and try to calm things down a little bit. Unfortunately, with most of these pulses, there's not going to be a lot of precipitation associated with them. It's just going to be temperature fluctuations. And then the farther we go into October, the more impressive that ridge becomes. Look at this giant wall of heat here over the central U.S. on Monday, October 28th. If I push this just a little bit farther into the future, we're getting into kind of la-la land here, okay? This is 200 hours away from now, but the signal is so consistent and it's so large, we can't ignore it. But if this actually comes to fruition, if we've got temperatures 40 degrees above average here in Minnesota on Tuesday, October 29th, we're talking about 2 a.m. in Minneapolis, it's going to be 80 degrees. That's wild. That's unheard of up here. And of course, we're talking about high temperatures near that as well. And that warm air is going to spread over the eastern U.S. and it's just going to kind of compile. And once again, Halloween night into Friday, November 1st, this could be one of the warmest Halloweens on record for lots of people here, especially east of the Rocky Mountains. I want to draw your attention back over here to the west one more time. We're talking about cooler than average temperatures in Idaho and Nevada and Idaho and California over here. And that cool air mass is going to try its best to move east, and it eventually will win. Okay, we're going towards winter, right? This is a part of every fall. We usually do see a big surge of warm air and then several pockets of cool air try to infiltrate that. The cool air will win, but the fight that's going to happen as that transition occurs might be pretty intense. That's why I'm saying that I think that November is going to be quite active, especially when it comes to severe weather, as we have all of this cool air trying to come across the Rockies and then interact with all of this warm air that's going to be over here in the east. And the more warm air that we do have, the more intense that fight is going to be. Here's the latest from the Climate Prediction Center. Pretty much exactly what we just talked about. Above average, way above average around the Great Lakes, below average for some people in the west. Precipitation is also pretty much on par with what we're looking at on the models. We're going to be below average in the Appalachians over towards the Mid-Atlantic and New England, a little bit below average in the desert Southwest as well. So no rain really expected anywhere that needs it. We do expect there to be some above average average precipitation in the Pacific Northwest, but that's going to be intermittent. And the reason I keep talking about precipitation and wanting rain is because the vast majority of us right now are in a drought. Most of the United States is below where we need to be as far as our rainfall totals go, except for the places that were really devastated by Helene and Milton and some places in the South like that. We've got a really bad drought going on right now in Ohio and West Virginia. I don't see an end to that anytime soon. None of these systems that are coming through are big time rainmakers. And of course, at least from now through Halloween, we're going to be warm and dry. Now, as we get deeper into November and we start to see more storm systems come through, yeah, maybe that might add some relief. But for the most part, those storms look like they're going to be intense storms, not necessarily lingering or wet storms. So just keep this in mind. The drought, it looks like it's here to stay. And that's pretty much all I have for you today. There's not a lot going on out there other than this big ridge that's coming in and the implications that might come from that. So we're going to be watching Oscar here very closely. If there's any major changes, we'll let you know, but I really think that I've told you everything there is to know about that storm. We're going to be watching the severe weather today in Kansas. Very, 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 very small chance that becomes anything that we need to go live for, but that's on the table. And then most of our focus here is going to be watching this big pattern change that's coming, and we'll let you know if there's any further developments on that. Hopefully you won't hear from me again for another week. That's always the goal, but if there's ever a reason to update you on something, we're going to do that here. And of course, you can follow me over on X or Twitter for more rapid fire updates. But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, because if we do go live, you don't want to miss that notification. As always, we want to thank our sponsor today, Rocket Money. A huge shout out to Rocket Money. Thank you so much for sponsoring. Anytime we get a sponsor, it's a big deal here. So if you want to support the people that support us, there's a link in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.